everything is going to be based on, I'm going to be working on a block coloring technique and also with a block graduation technique, because I'm working more like kind of a classic way. I feel sometimes everybody loves to blend things very freehand balayage, but today I want to really do more like a technical blending, more like make solid, because the shape itself I'll be working on is more like kind of like a classic, like a little fringe opening with a heavy bob, very classic. But I'm going to create something really kind of like a face framing, but more like in a block way, like a block fresh framing. That's been, everything is block graduation. I'll be working with like roots to ends the same color. I'm going to be working with color, I would call it more like kind of like a warm brick tone, like a brick copper, into like a more lighter brick copper. My inspiration is about working with bricks. Think of copper, dark copper, a chestnut with warm, a gold copper, and something more lighter around the face. So my model here, Marcella, wants a big change, but also she wants something quite commercial and beautiful and sexy at the same time. And also she wants something where she doesn't have to keep on going to the hairdresser, the salon very often. So I'll be working really, half working with a demi-permanent. So really I don't have to really change the base, but I'm only gonna change the tone. But of course, going more lighter around the face area, okay? So here, normally she wear her parting, very like kind of a center parting. So from there, what we decided, from the center parting, what I've done, I've created like a profile section that divides the hair into left and right. Then from there, what I've done, from where the fringe is, I started working from, I keep one finger depth from where the parting. This is more like a peekaboo, you can see, I put one finger, okay? Then from there, from the side, okay, this is where the radial is. From that area, I work with a large zigzag section. That's been to incorporate the fringe and the side area. And I did the same thing, the opposite side. Section is very, very important here because I'm creating more movement. Remember, she has a bob with a little fringe, kind of like a fringe, a little curtain fringe. But I wanted something where I wanted to connect the fringe and the side. So I use those big zigzag to create really more like a movement between a darker and a light. So when they blend together, you can see that kind of movement. So every movement you see I'm doing here, the zigzag, they're going to create more movement in the perimeter because the haircut is quite heavy. So when something is heavy, I want to create movement, so I work with a zigzag. So when they blend, I have illusion of movement in the perimeter. Same thing, the opposite side. Okay, so I'm going to working in a kind of a block coloring technique. I'm going to block color everything, roots to ends at the back area. But in that situation here, what I might do, I'm going to start working in the front because I'm looking for more lift here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to slightly just apply some product just to push everything back so you guys can see my section pattern better. I'm going to apply my gloves. Can you guys hear me very well? If yes, wave your hand. If no, just say no. Okay, anyway, as I said, during my work, so there's some noise upstairs in the studio. I don't know why today. They're moving out. Someone is moving out or moving in. Okay, so I'm going to start working. Normally in a salon situation, if I'm working with an assistant, what I would do, or a helper or a colleague, if I'm busy, I will put a section in first. Someone will come in, maybe they want to do a regrowth first. I'll put a section. I'll make my assistant or who's ever helping do the roots first everywhere. Then I will come in after to work my technique more in the fringe area, on those area here. Okay, so that's a more approach to it. But of course, if by myself now I'm looking for more lifting, what I will do, I'll start working in that area first, then I will go at the back. Any question from there before I start? Okay, if there's no question, I'm gonna start working now, okay? So as I'm gonna start working, I'm just gonna share with you guys. I'm gonna start by applying. I'm working with a demi-permanent. I'm just gonna do this slightly so you guys can see the section. Sorry for the noise you're hearing, it's not my fault. We have somebody moving upstairs and I'm so sorry. I don't know how to tell them that. So as you can see, I'm just working on the hairline so you guys can see my section, how clean it is. Because I'm creating, as I say, an illusion of movement around this area. So that's my section. Trying to blend something dark and something light. Because if I take a straight line, they're gonna sit very heavy. So to create movement, sorry. So to create movement, I'm doing that zigzag. So whatever I do on the scalp is what I'm gonna get on that area here. A lot of movement. I'm gonna move to the other side so you guys can see when I'm working. So normally I wouldn't do that because since I'm working with a demi-permanent, it's just depositing the kind of a copperish tone on her natural hair. So that's the whole approach to it, okay? As you can see. There you go. Just to share with you guys the section pattern a little better so you can see where is it coming from. Okay, same thing the opposite side. And I'm going to put her in front so you guys can see. I'm going to bend her hair down. So this is my technique. Normally when I'm working in that situation, just to make everything a little bit more simple, I always love subdividing this area between the fringe where your high recession is. So this is called a high recession. Okay, first of all, high recession, mid recession, and low recession. Normally from your high recession, I always try and clip this out of the way. Okay, out of the way. So at least I know, you see this is quite heavy. I'm going to try and create movement because of my zigzag between the back and the front. So I always start by creating a little section out of the way in that area. I'm going to move her so you guys can see. I don't know if you can see, but if you don't, let me know. So I'm going to start by applying quickly, okay, my roots area, just for the ease of application. Because as I say, one of the things, if I went to, she wanted to be copper, but she didn't want a copper that's very far from her natural hair depth. Because if I go too light, I don't want to have any demarcation line, but I still want to be copperish. So I say, perfect, let's go with the demi-permanent. Let's use your natural base as a deeper roots, but with more like of a warm tone. So at least when it grows, even though natural hair is not copper, but at least it's not very far as a depth, maybe just in tone, you won't have copper. So remember, this is the first time doing color. So as you know, I have to be very gentle. I call it's like my first date. You go slowly first, then your second date. So you have to tease them, then it can come back again. It's like building a relationship with your client. Because sometimes, of course, I want to do something very strong as I'm a hairdresser. I want to see it, but I have to realize it's all about the client. It's less of me, more of her. That's the whole concept around what we're doing here. Okay, I'm going to, on that side here, as I'm done now, I'm going to start working with my color choice. How I'm going to create my placement here is very, 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 very important. So here for my lighter color, there's two things I can do. I can even also work more like kind of a V-section, more like kind of a balayage, but using high lift. So what I'm doing here, I'm mixing a high lift tint, and also I'm mixing with a permanent color. So I'm using a high lift like that's a level of a 10 or 12, which is natural. Then I'm adding a level like 30 grams, and I'm using 10 grams of a level of a 7 with intense copper. I'm mixing it together. So while I'm lifting, I'm depositing my kind of a light strawberry tone. That's the approach to it.
Someone asked, what color do you use on her, please?
Yes. So what I'm using here, I'm using a demi-permanent level of a 7 with copper in it. But I'm just, sorry, it's a level of a 6 with copper. Okay, like a 6.4 or 6C, that's better 6 copper. Just to make her natural hair more warm a little bit. But in the mid-length and length here, I'm going to use a high lift tint, okay, a level of a 12. But I'm adding copper inside, but I'm using it with 40 volume to lift it. So I'm going to have like a medium blonde with copper with a level of, okay, then on the ends, a level of an 8 with a diluted strawberry copper. Did I answer your question? Say yes or no.
They don't say.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to continue. If you don't, let me know. Okay, so I'm going to create so we'll look at my section. I'm going to start working with like a V section on this area, as you can see. Okay, it's a V section. I'm just following the section. Sorry. I've been talking all morning, so now I have a dry throat. Can you believe that? Okay, I'm going to click this out of the way. So this is my first section, as you can see. Okay, because I'm working with a V section. So I'm going to go in there now, apply some more color on the roots. Color on the roots. Make sure I saturate the hair, work on the hairline. Okay, in the center, I'm going to bring my darker color slightly in the center. You see that? Where the darker is, I'm bringing it slightly, like a V section, but I'm leaving the side. Make sure you saturate the hair as much as you can. Bring it like a V in the dark. And now I'm going to go in with which I call it more like my lighter color. With my lighter copper, I'm going to work on the side. Hold it. And I work on the side, you see? This is my V where my dark is. This is my higher blonde, lighter, and lighter on the ends. And as soon as I finish, I'm going to take my clear mesh. I love working with transparent mesh because I want to see what's happening. And I want like my clients to experience everything what I'm doing. I want them to visually see what's happening. If they want to, but I love sharing. You can see, this is my lighter color. It's a high lift with a copper pigment inside. So while I'm lifting, I'm also toning. So that's why I don't have to tone the hair after. So this is my darker. This is my lighter. A dark blonde copper and a light blonde copper, but in a V section. When I finish, I'll put another one on top. Okay. Because I've created a zigzag here, I'm working on a V. I'm gonna have like a short graduation. At the same time with the V, with the zigzag, I'm gonna create illusion of movement. So I'm creating double movement and softness. I'm taking the whole other section again. It's like I'm block coloring it, but I'm creating that kind of a more like a elegant way of placement. Okay. You see again, I'm gonna comb the hair first.
Another question.
Yes.
Is the lighter color lifting the hair color lighter?
Yes, I'm using a high lift tint with a 40 volume. Yes, I'm going more lighter. So instead of using a lightener for toning after that, so what I'm doing, I'm just using a high lift that will lift and tone. I love using high lift tint because so then I don't have to go bleach the hair and then toning it for that situation. Okay, so as you can.
Someone said double movement question mark.
So the movement is very, as you can see, it's very like just smudging it, okay? So I'm doing like a double toner. So you see that? This is more like a darker copper into a lighter copper. This one is with the 10 volume. This one is with the 40 volume. It's like a 6/4, 6 copper, a dark blonde with copper. Here's gonna be like a level of a 9 or 8 with copper tone. Sorry for the coughing. I think I've been talking and I'm drying now. Okay, you see, I'm walking the side. So one great thing, when I'm around on the ends, look at my movements, my whole hand moving. Then when I'm working higher to softer blending, I'm just blending it using the soft movement to have more like a softer blending. And I'm gonna use another mesh again. I'm gonna close it. Okay, there you go. This is gonna be my last section here. You see? My last section again. Hold the hair. One thing I don't do, look at this, I don't do that. I don't hold the hair like this, but instead I will comb the hair and I will spread the hair and leave it quite flat in my hand. And I will bend everything down a little bit. If you want to, you can comb it on your mesh. You will go on your base color again, apply some more product on the roots, and walk in the center like this. Sorry, I might need some water in a minute. Okay, so there you go. Does that make sense? And there you go. Then now, I'm gonna go on the ends again. I always start on the end, you see that? I work flat with my brush. Flat with my brush on the ends, then I'll go on the side and start blending very high. The reason I'm going very high here is for when she put it here, I get the dark pushing the light. When it drops it, little light, more dark. So that will create more movement. You see my side now I'm working? Just blending it. Because you don't need to back comb the hair, you don't need to do all, it's more about the movement in your hand. It's all about the movement and the blending with your hand. I'm not against back combing, but sometimes it's like you're painting. You're painting on the hair. That's the whole approach to it. So here I'm using, as I say, a demi-permanent level of a 6, sorry, with copper reflection. And then the high lift, mid-length, and length. Now I'm gonna go on the ends, on the fringe area so you can see. This one I want something more, a little more stronger, more like a block. This one I want something a little bit more natural. So before I start again, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go there and apply on the roots first. Like I'm doing a little roots application. As you can see, little roots application, very fast. But for example, if she had like a little regrowth of, like a regrowth, I'll do all the regrowth first, then I will do the technique while the color is processing. Okay, this is the base. This is the base. Okay, and the same thing I'm doing here, I'm gonna be doing the opposite side. Then as soon as I finish, I'm gonna work at the back with the block curving technique, roots to end. Look at on the hairline. I don't work like this because I'm gonna create line. I'm working parallel to the parting. You see, I'm gonna start and I'm gonna rotate a little bit so it becomes more natural. Okay, I'm gonna clip the hair out of the way. This is my technique. Here I'm gonna go a little bit more classic, guys. I want something a little more natural. Look what I'm gonna be doing. I'm gonna go in a weave with the natural weaves on the roots area. I'm gonna bring the first section after my weave is, I'm gonna block color everything with more like my darker copper tone, like a level of a 6 with copper on the roots to end. Then on the roots, it's already a little more darker. Here, I want something more natural. That's why I'm weaving, and I'm gonna use my lighter color with copper. Okay, I'm gonna go all the way up and blend it. So I'm going quite classic, really. I think classic work are very timeless. So I'm going kind of a diffusion freehand, but without creating living hair everywhere. But here, I want something a little more interesting, more softer. More softer here, more like a little streams of natural tones of coppers into like more like a waterfall of coppers. So I'm blending those two elements together. I love blending naturals into like more like into like stronger pieces. Because around the face, normally around here, I always love going to quite natural. Then as I'm working more internally on the side, I love working more like with chunky pieces or very, very like more stronger placement. But around the face, I tend to go a little bit more softer in my placement always. But it sits on your face, is that's what you're exposed to more. So you want to make sure it's not like too much. Especially in that situation where I'm working with my model, it's the first time doing color. I don't want to, I'm working with also with copper tone. First time doing color can be a lot. It's our first date in our sense between experience with color, between me and her. So I want to making sure I don't scare her. That's what happened. Sometimes it become a trauma, I call it, a color hair trauma. It's like going to the dentist does a bad job, then they hate all the dentists, even though there's good and bad ones. Same thing with colorists. Sorry. It's quite hot where I'm doing a demo now because I have all this light. As you can see, I do the base, I do everything, I put everything on the side, then I put my lighter color. I'm going for a very kind of an elegant end result. As you can see, always work on the ends first, and as you finish, you will blend it up. So I'm blending the demi and the high lifting. Boom again, this is going to be my last section on that side. The technique itself is very, very, very simple, to be honest. But it's more about, the main thing about this technique is more about like really understanding your placement and your section pattern. And of course, choosing the right tone that suits my model. And we're going to talk a little bit as I move in the other side. Why did I choose the color? Because I think it's very important. Sometimes people ask me, why did you choose that color? How would you know that color will suit your model? One of the main things I say when I'm doing that, the two things very important is to understand, I say three things more important to understand that your model or your client's skin tone, your client's complexion, and your client's also eye level. That will determine how light I'm gonna go. Your skin tone will tell me how warm or cool. If warm or cool, complexion will give me the overall really mood of the color I'm gonna walk around. Okay, so this is the side, guys. Okay, you see, here was like more like the V side, V shape. Here was more like a natural weaving technique. So it's gonna be more softer, and here more like really cascade of lighter tone with a copper element. So I'm gonna do the same thing. So I might move the other side so you guys can see. Look at, you see how nice and clean it is? Imagine you're doing a client, you have more control. At least they have an idea what's happening. I don't want color to fall everywhere. Then if I want to, when I finish, I can just slightly turn this on the side a little bit so the clients can still see. I think I'm just trying to bring a different experience to my clients. Some of them I don't want color to be going all over their face, their skin. I think it's very important. At the end, it's about the end result, don't get me wrong, but it's very important also the experience of your client. If you want to charge more, the experience has to feel expensive. Because already you can charge a lot, but the experience feel like you're at the butcher. It doesn't feel right, okay? So you want making sure you want to make the experience be really accessible or pleasurable. Because I'm going to be working on the other side, but as I said, I'm not criticizing anybody. I'm saying if you want to up your game, think about it, how you want to be treated or how you feel like you want to be treated. Same thing with your client when you're doing this color service. Perfect. Again, I say if you have any question, please don't be scared to ask. Here, as I said, just a little recap. The color I'm using a demi-permanent cream base, a level of a 6 with copper reflection as a base color, keeping it quite close to her natural color, but just adding warm element to it. Then I'm working with something more lighter, where I'm using a high lift, but adding really a copper color in there. So while I'm lifting with the high lift, I can get mine lighter, kind of a strawberry copper, to make it more simple for you guys. But my inspiration here, as I said, is more like kind of a brick copper. Think of a darker brick into a lighter brick copper. Because she wanted to be more a proper change all over color. And I told her, do me a favor, I love the color you want, which is more lighter. But one thing is like, you might have to come to visit me every 4 weeks because you're going to have a large demarcation line of color when it grows. Then, I don't know how busy you want to see me. I said, no, I like seeing you, but are you willing to come and see me every 4 weeks? It's very important because sometimes if it were just for me, I'll just do whatever she wants, go lighter everywhere. But it's more explain to her what's going to be, how to maintain it. You see, that's a priority. Not me just making money out of it, but creating a relationship, which is very, very important when you're doing color. Because sometimes, even though your color is great, but if I didn't advise her what happened, I can lose a client just because of that. Because I'm so focused on doing that color, not the journey, how it's going to grow. So for me, doing a color is not about just how it is now. It's all about how every month it goes. That's been the client, you build trust like this. So when you want to do something else, clients will trust you to make a change because they know you're thinking about them as a person also, okay? Okay, as I'm working, you can see, if I'm getting any messy, I just go in there and clean as quickly. I don't let the skin absorb and I try and rub too much later. I do it right now, I try and clean. Okay, I'm gonna turn her a little bit so you guys can see. I hope you guys are hearing me quite clear and everything. If you're not, let me know. And if you have any question again, please just ask. Okay, I'm gonna bend her head a little bit again. Okay, you see I've subdivided the fringes now. We're high recession. Then I'm gonna focus on the perimeter here now. So again, I'm gonna start to work with like a V section again. As you can see, let's go with our first V section. The reason I'm working with a V section so at least it can diffuse. Intense, but diffuse. If I was working with the W, is movement and enlarging. So shapes are very, very, very important when you're working in that situation. As you can see, I'm gonna comb the hair first. You see how I'm holding the hair? I don't know if you guys can see it. I don't know if you can zoom in, please, Michelle, come closer. You see this is my V section. So I'm gonna have the darker. Okay, look at me. I'm gonna apply some darker on the roots just to get more coverage. Then in the center is where I'm gonna work in with my darker color. Okay, you see I'm creating like a V section. I'm leaving this more natural for now. Sorry. Oh my God. Then I'm gonna go in if I want to, go on the side. I'm making a mess today. Then I work on the side. This is where my lighter color is.
Someone has a question. Where do we get the mesh?
With Arenco, we're creating our own one. This is a prototype we're creating for Arenco, which we're gonna be launching it very soon. Once we launch it, I promise you, if you type your name properly, I will record it, and I'll make sure you get a sample. You might be one of the first to get it, I promise. Once we launch it, we're working on it. We're nearly there, so we're gonna be launching. And I love working. I think there's a few out there, a few good ones also. To be very honest, a few brand that sells it. I think. But the one I'm using now is a little bit, it will allows me if I want to wash it and reuse it, but also it's not really too heavy or too thin. That's what's great about it. I love using, if I'm doing like kind of a creative work like this, I will always, normally also what I can do, I will use the transparent mesh on the side and in the fringe. If I want more lift, I will use the foil. The reason I'm using the transparent mesh, to be honest, what I like about it is the temperature. It does not overheat like foil if I'm going, but if I'm looking for heavy lifting, faster lifting, so I'll use an aluminum because aluminum will like act like a heat conductor, allowing me to go lighter fast. So I'm just controlling my lifting. That's why I'm using the clear mesh. So I always use the tools for a reason. I don't just use it because I like it. I use it for a reason. Okay. So again, I'm gonna keep on combing, as you can see. I'm combing, and I'm bringing everything to the center again. Boom. And as soon as I finish, I'll pull this on the side like this. Again, always start using on where you're gonna lift first, then bring it up. And also when you're doing your V section, some of them you can do it smaller, some you can do it more larger. The more irregular you are, the better. I don't know if you can come closer, it'll be great. Some of your V with the dark, you can stop it very high. Some of them, you can go darker, more low also. So don't make it the same, because the more mechanical you are, the more mechanical is going to be the end result. The more you make it really kind of irregular, then you're going to get more like movement. Remember that. That's one of my only advice. The concept remains, but the flow can change a little bit. Just like life. Here, for example, if you feel like it's too much, look what I do. I'll cut this on the side. There's no problem. I'm losing my V section, but look what I'm going to do here. Look at this one, for example. I'm retouching the roots a little bit, but look what that is. I might bring this, the ends, the darker, a little more lower. You see that? You know, so as I finish, I'll bring it down. So I'm bringing that a little more lower. There you go. There you go. You see that? So that's mean this one, the first one, the dark was here. This one, the dark is a little more lower. As I finish again, just burn. At least I'm seeing my end result. I love, as I said, I love when my client sees it. The same thing here. Comb that section. Well, as I say, don't hold the hair like this. Don't do that, you see? But always open the hair before you apply. Open it so it's more flatter. Apply some more product on the ends again. If I want this one, I can just make that dark go on the side. There's no problem. Remember, there's no color police. You can be creative as much as you want. Because of your section pattern, that will help you to get really an amazing end result. Because of your zigzag, they're going to create more movement already. I'm creating like double movement with diffusion, we call it. Okay, I'm going to finish on that side. Now again, I'm going to start working in the fringe area, that area here. That's where the fringe is going to be a little bit more like, you see how short it is here? Okay, but I'll just bring in some little more lightness in that area. Before we start again, I'm just going to slightly just get in there.
Have you got an Instagram account we can follow?
Yes, my Instagram account will be Richie Kanda. It's going to be RICHYKANDA at Richie Kanda. It's my name. It's my name and half of my surname. It's funny because I'll tell you guys why that actually, because most of my friends in the Seychelles, where I'm from, it's a small island in the Indian Ocean, which actually I'm going home on Friday after 3 years not going home to see my family on the island. And I live in Miami now. It will take me like 1 day and a half to go home and 1 day and a half to come back. So I'm going on a Friday. So it's going to be fun. And my friends used to call me, not Richie, but Kanda. That's been half of my surname because my surname was very long. So they cut it half and called me Kanda. So Rich Kanda, that's my Instagram name. And also, we're going to be doing a lot of classes here in Miami. I would love to have you guys to come and visit.
Also, somebody else asked again, what color are you using?
Okay, brilliant. So, perfect. I'm going to recap. So I'm using, on my base color, I'm using a level of a 6. That's been a dark blonde with a copper tone. Think of a 6-4 or 6 copper or 6C, how you want to call it. But I'm creating my own one. The reason we're using that is because she wanted to go into the copper family. But since it's the first time doing color, I said, you know what? Let's start with something that you can get used to it first. Because if I do something very strong everywhere, what's going to happen? She might get tired of it very fast. So I'm losing a level of a 6 with copper. Then on the internally here, I'm bringing some more like a face framing, but with different kind of softness and more movement on the perimeter. Is like a long bob with a small fringe. I'm creating more like a face frame, but in more with more movement. Okay. And my lighter color is a high lift. I'm using a high lift, but I've added copper pigment inside. So while I'm lifting, I'm gonna get copper. While I'm lifting, I'm toning the hair at the same time to get that copperish strawberry tone. I'm using it with 40 volume in the mid-length and length.
Someone said, if I send a picture of my hair, can you give me advice as to get the brassy orange out?
Yes, I can. Please do so. Send me either on my Instagram or send it on the hairbrain video live. I promise I will look at it and I'll give you my advice and I'll give you formulas with whatever you want to get rid of it. No problem. It's funny. I'm creating copper here and you don't want brassiness. You see opposite. You guys can exchange color. She can give you hers and you can give hers. She wants some brassiness because we're doing now, we're working. This color is a very, I'll call it, the color is very kind of, I'll call it like a burnt orange kind of effect I'm going for. It's very kind of autumn winter palettes I'm working on now. Because when during autumn, you tend to lose your tan a little bit. Your skin gets more paler, more cooler. So adding some warm to have more contrast between the pale skin and the hair, it's very, very amazing. It's like think about the autumn leaves, that kind of coloration, the orange. That's the idea we're going for, but more sophisticated, not brassy, but more kind of a warm chestnut. As I said, working with inspiration was more like a dark brick, copper brick into a lighter. So dark at the back, more lighter in the front, but very subtle, very elegant.
Someone else said, very beautiful. Can you do mine?
Yes, I can. Just come down to Miami. Let me know. I'll take care of you. And the color's gonna be on me. Don't worry. Okay. I won't even charge you. I'm doing charity those days.
How long does it take to get trained as a hair colorist and get certified?
To be honest, I don't believe in time. It's more like how much dedication you want to have, because you can just get a license, to do hair, but it doesn't mean you're ready to do hair. The license is more like just to give you like, okay, you have a license to work in a salon, but I feel you have to be experienced, work and assist behind the chair with someone very good. Maybe 1 year, 2 years, I think you'll be ready. I think it all depends how much passionate, how much training you want to get, how much you put the work into it. There's not really a specific time. I'll be honest. It's more like how much you're willing to really invest in your education. That will help a lot. But average, I'll say 2 years, you're good to create a clientele, really solid. Some people can be very special. They can do it maybe in less time. I'll be very honest. But that's always I always say is more. It depends. It depends on the person itself. Okay. Okay. So as you can see, this is my technique itself. Because at the back here, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna work with the same color roots to ends, but I can do that really without you guys seeing. There's no sense of me doing like all over color. So my main technique was really based working in the front area, and at the back, I'm just gonna work with the same color as the dark roots to end and massage it, and I will leave it really to process for 15 minutes. Why? Because I already done here. By the time I apply here, it might take me maybe like 5-10 minutes, and I'll just leave it for another 15 minutes. So that's mean here, but the lifting will be at least 25 to 30 minutes, which is perfect. So because I want to lift here first, so while it's lifting, then I can block color in that area. In a silent situation, what I can do, as I say, I'll put my section in, I have an assistant, they will do all the block at the back, the roots, then I will come in and work with my technique in the front. Okay, it's all about choosing the situation. There's always a way to get it there fast. So now I can just do something else and my assistant can go in the top here. If I don't have one, I'll do here first and then do here and leave it for 15 minutes. That's like I'm applying now. So it's very important to really to have a systemic to understand what you're doing. This is because of my section pattern, first of all, allows me to understand what my end result is. So just a quick recap so you can see. First of all, we find where her natural parting is, which was more in the center. So what we done from there, one finger depth from there, we create a large zigzag section, incorporating slightly the top of the fringe all the way, finish the back of the ear where the radial is. The same thing the opposite side. Then what we did, all the roots everywhere, make it more easier. As soon as we finish doing the roots everywhere, we subdivide where the high recession is, a small section, because the reason we do a small section here is because here we're going more natural, with the weaving technique. Then on the side, as you can see here, what we've gone, we work with like V section on the two sides, working on the roots more darker, but in the center, bringing the color darker, like a V in the center, leaving the two sides. Then on the side, what we went with a high lift tint, with copper inside, start lifting on the side like a V again. Okay, the same thing we done on the opposite side. So here's gonna be more like a cascade of strawberry, and in the fringe, more like really soft streams of strawberry blonde. As I say, my idea is not to go too far. Her level is more like being a 5 and a 6, really, some area. I want to keep it, that's why I use a level of a dark blonde with a copper tone, just to refresh a natural color, adding some copper element. On the ends, I want to do something in the front, something with more lighter, but still in kind of like copper family. I use my high lift. Again, it's my first date. I don't want to just go in there and bleach her hair and then tone. Because if I bleach her hair or pre-light and then tone, what happens when you put copper on top? It fades fast. I don't want that. It's a first experience. I want everything to be more softer and last longer. And also because I know she doesn't want to come every 4 weeks. She's a typical client, a model, which I want to see her maybe every 3-4 months. So I want to do something as the hair grows, it grows more natural. Of course, if I want something more stronger, what I do, I just change my color choice. Go brighter with my color, which I can do that also. Remember, it's all about the technique and the placement. Okay, then just to give an idea, why did I choose the color? I'm gonna have 2 minutes to do that. I use normally an instrument, which you're gonna see, which normally, as I said, the reason I choose that tone, because she was more like kind of a cool skin tone. That's why I went more with a warmer tone. I think it's gonna suit her, because when I did put this, it will blend. Of course, I know she has the makeup now, but normally she's more kind of a cooler underlying pigment. So I did something if I do that, it blends, but not as much. But when I do it like that, I can see the cool around her skin connecting. That's why I choose to go more warmer, because it works well. Her foundation is more neutral. I'm not letting the light reflection affecting that. I'm seeing more like the underlying pigment, because sometimes when it comes to the underlying pigment of the skin tone, you can either be cool or more warm. If you're cool, it's more pinkish. If you're warm, it's more like kind of a peachy. Hers is more like a pinkish. That's why I'm going with copper tone. I think it works very well. If she was more peachy, like someone who just tell me he doesn't like the brassy color, that's when you're warm here. That's why you don't like the warm in your hair. So you're not crazy. It's normal, okay? It's because your skin tone. You don't like when the color, like when your skin tone. And the next thing, to know how light I was going with her, the reason I've kept her level of a 6, because I like it. I like first because of the regrowth, so I don't have to go very far, and also because I was using that instrument to understand how light or how dark I can go. If I'll make her open her eyes. Would you mind opening your eyes a little bit? You see, when I put this next to the eyes, it's not by the color, it's by the depth. So this is too dark now. As I'm doing, you see there's contrast. There's still contrast. As I'm getting here, there's more balance. There's more balance. You see, this is perfect. This is like a level of like a 5. But look at this one now. That's a perfect. You can see this, and you can see the depth of the eye. This is a 6. That's why I'm using a 6. I'm using the copper because she's cool. I'm using a level of a 6 overall because that was going to look nice. But then, of course, if you look at it, I can still make a 7, the 8. These are the color that works really well. That's why I'm lifting this one, the lighter one, into a level of a 7 or an 8 to create more like a face framing and balance. I'm leaving the dark, the 6, to connect with the eyes. Then, of course, to create a little bit of like jumpiness, and because you want it more lighter, those two level is not bad, 7 or 8. That's why I'm lifting with a high lift with 40 volume to bring it to an 8 or a 9 to get that shimmers again, still adding the warmth into the hair because she want to go warmer because it's more like autumn. She want that kind of autumn copper tone into the hair. Then the next thing, which is very, very important, I won't go deep because I can make a class just around it, is more about the complexion. Normally, complexion are divided into 6, as you can see. You have your white, you have neutral, you have pink, golden, olive, and dark. So normally I would put it all around as a complexion. That also, what it does, it helped me to understand how can I play with the light and the dark and the tone overall as a color. I won't go deep in that, and I hope to see you guys. You can come to the space here in Miami at Arenco Education with a lot of class when it comes to consultation, basic consultation, technique, classic technique, advanced technique, block coloring. It's good. It's not just about just doing the color, guys. It's also about understanding how to put placement and also how to choose the right color to your client. And we're gonna have all these classes next year. If you go on the Arenco Education website, you're going to find all these classes. We'll be teaching here in Sacramento. And also, maybe if you're carrying Arenco, we can come and visit you guys. I hope to share. I'll be sharing the end result, I'm sure, on my Instagram or my Facebook later on the day when she finishes, so you can see the end result itself. Thank you very much. I really appreciate your day. I know it's Thursday, everybody's busy, but thank you for making your time. Thank you, Hairbrain, for giving us opportunity to do our demo on our beautiful model. Thank you, model Marcella. Thank you, Michelle, for filming it. I know everybody's busy. I hope you guys get some inspiration out of that. Take it and bring it behind the chair and make some money and have some fun. Have a wonderful week and a wonderful weekend. It's coming soon. God bless you all. Peace.